Buying listed buildings for property investment. Top tips. The opportunity to purchase a listed building is one of joy and a sense of reluctance due to the potential pitfalls that come with it. When presented with a fantastic building with years and years of history and an unmatched story, what do you do? Taking into consideration the potential fight you will have with damp, decay, and defects of an older building, not to mention the legal requirements and planning permission you would need to fulfill and making changes to the property. So what is a listed building exactly? By definition, to be labelled a listed building, the property will be at least 30 years old. The property is even listed on the National Heritage List. An example being a property built 100 years ago that has survived as something which is showing resemblance to its original state. This would be the perfect candidate for listing status. It is the character of the building which is being protected, and with that the owner will take full responsibility in maintaining the look and feel of the building. This responsibility is just on the inside of the property. It can also be the gardens or even the outbuildings. But what about development opportunities? While developing and knocking down walls is very difficult on a listed building, since it's protected by any kind of demolition or development that harms its original keeping, there is a responsibility placed on the owner to keep/restore the original feel of the building. Although this is somewhat restrictive, there are opportunities to extend the building within what is reasonable and in accordance with planning laws issued from the government. More often than not, when undergoing maintenance of a building, you would have a conservation officer as your main point of contact. He would assist you in all things to do with keeping the character of the building in check. While you will decide what you would like to do, you must consult with the planning consultant officer as to what is and isn't going to be the final decision. Once you have decided what you want to do, you apply for the planning permission, and with the consent, you may begin carrying out the work. While there are no fees for the consultation, it is vitally important that you make the request, as it is a criminal offence to carry out the work without any permission. The biggest problem that we find when encountering listed buildings is damp. It is generally an issue that comes hand in hand with old and aged properties and can be very difficult to overcome. The best advice you could listen to would be to check for initial signs of damp. These could be the walls, the gutters, or even the ground surrounding the building. This will ensure it is not too high or inclined towards the building. Often these issues can be avoided by using a surveyor. The surveyor would be able to identify rising damp, the most commonly affected areas of old buildings, which are often the solid walls and those made from lime mortar. While you can do patch-ups, this will more often not cause more damage than good. For example, injecting modern materials into walls will hinder the breathability and cause more damp. While you have the challenge of dealing with the damp issue, you must always consult the planning officer and have the permission in place before completing any of the changes. Most annoyingly of all is that if you fail to carry out the intended work, the local authority will go after you and seek to recover the costs. A good number of the older buildings are in the countryside location and come with older designs. It would be wise to consider carrying out the work to prevent or even protect from flood risk. This could be as simple as adding door guards and air brick covers. If your listed property is flooded, you would then need to speak to the planning officer before you can begin making repairs to the property. Energy savings, what are the costs? I mean, one of the biggest issues with listed buildings is the costs associated with running the property. Naturally, the modern properties of today come with modern energy saving measures. Older properties will have older techniques for keeping the house warm, and basic upgrades that can result in cutting energy costs could include the guttering, updating the windows to keep the warmth in. But remember, like everything else with a listed building, you will need to speak with the planning authorities. Updating the heating systems with a new modern boiler will contribute to being more efficient and will help cut the costs. While you could do double glazing, you must consider the appearance of the building. Therefore, the planning officer will want to consider the history, the character, and the final look when adding modern double glazed windows to the property. To find out more about UK property investments, as well as learning some more great tips and tricks, visit the website. It's www.fjpinvestment.co.uk.